This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Let's start up north in Tunisia. Tourism sector earnings fell by 64% to $700 million by the 10th of December compared to the same period in 2019. Nonetheless, the accrued labour income edged up around 10.8% to about $2 billion. The cumulative external debt servicing for the country was down by nearly 15% to roughly $3 billion. Here's CGTN's Adnan Chachi with the latest data from Tunis.
Tunisia's vital tourism industry, which employs over 400,000 people and contributed to 16% of the country's GDP in 2019, is at a crossroads. In a bid to revive the ailing industry, the country's tourism and handicrafts minister Habib Ammar has declared that the government's priority is to work in the short term to protect it from collapsing and preserve the highest possible number of struggling tourism businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The challenge is to save the tourism sector amid the coronavirus crisis, which hit the whole world. We cannot resume the normal activity if the majority of businesses are permanently shut down. The health crisis will probably last for longer than we had expected. We must be resilient and cope with the crisis until we resume the activity gradually when the vaccine is made available in spring of next year.
The government has proposed to pay the employer's social security contribution in the fourth quarter of 2020 and the first 2 quarters of next year, provided that jobs are kept and wages are paid by the hotels. This involves the wages of workers laid off, both fully or partially.
We have a short and medium-term plan to support the tourism industry by providing direct financial aid to thousands of workers and tourism professionals. The long-term strategy is based on boosting domestic tourism throughout the country.
According to the Tunisian Hotel Federation, the tourism sector, which is a critical pillar of the national economy, has faced serious damage due to the first and the second wave of the pandemic. Experts assert that thousands of families will endure at least 2 years of uncertainty.
We have tried to keep jobs and to assume our social responsibility, but now it's impossible after a failed tourist season. We expect the loss of 27,000 people by the end of 2020 in the hospitality industry. The crisis will have repercussions on the budgets of families. 6 families out of 10 will plunge into poverty because the head of the family earns a living from the tourism industry, while the rest will face extreme poverty.
Tunisian authorities have decided to grant tourism businesses an extension of the deadline for filing corporate tax returns for the years 2019 and 2020 until the end of December 2021, with a rescheduling of payment from January 2022. The initiative aims to solve the immediate cash crunch until the resumption of normal activity. Prime Minister Hisham Meshishi declared that the government will speed up the implementation of structural reforms in the tourism sector. A special committee will examine the structural problems, particularly the indebtedness, which is the result of several years of instability, as well as the COVID-19 crisis. Adnan Chachi, CGTN, Tunis.